What were some of the things that that Adamski taught him? Because your father was an integral part of the Adamski Foundation, was he not?
Yes, he was co-director and then eventually director.
All right, tell us a little bit about that foundation. I mean, what were some of the things that Adamski believed?
Well, Adamski had taken already since 1947 some very clear telescopic pictures and later movie films of these crafts in action. And he made these pictures available to the government upon request. He was not a person to hoard information. He was very free and open with that. And I believe to some extent he became a pioneer in this particular field because he was not afraid to go out on the road and talk about this subject. And we know, already Roswell happened in 47, and things continue to accelerate in 52, the sightings over Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a large plethora of activity to support Mr. Adamski as he went out and he talked, and there were sightings in many of the countries where he went as well. And so George was able to provide the foundation to my father to give him the ability to recognize these crafts more readily, to be in specific places and specific times, sometimes with him and sometimes without, so to carry that one step further. So he was, in a way, a sort of a mentor, I would say.
So, and you grew up right in the middle of all this.
I grew up right in the middle of it, that's correct.
As we jump ahead now, your father putting together the book Alien Bases on the Moon, do you remember the excitement that I'm sure he had to have had, Glenn, when he started looking at some of these photographs?
Well, absolutely. I was there with him when the catalogs arrived in the microfiche, and then consequently you order the pictures themselves to come, let's say in, 15 by 20, some of the larger formats.
Mm-hmm.
And we went through, and he collected and ordered and paid for hundreds of these photographs to do the research, and we looked at with magnifying glasses, upside, downside, backwards, and forwards. And the more we looked at these pictures, the more we found that the dead moon theories that we have been telling people for so long and supporting for so long, there seems to be quite a contrary information to that. And this is also some of the information that Adamski talked about. Already in 1953, he described the firefly effect that Glenn talked about. Adamski described that in 55, and he talked about greater atmospheric conditions on the moon and the fact that there are reports of clouds and what have you. So he was looking for that tangible proof in our own space program that led him back to his earlier association with George.
Well, I've got to tell you, looking at the pictures, either they were altered when they were given to you and your father years ago, or they're pretty darn reliable, because some of them you look at and you go, oh my God, what's there?
Well, the interesting thing is that we've had, when the book came out, my father gave full disclosure and credit, and you'll notice in the book that all the serial numbers for the pictures were included, and he encouraged the public, say, hey, write to them, order the pictures, do the research, and you'll see for yourself. And so he encouraged the public to get actively involved, and some people did. There are some gentlemen in Germany and some in other countries that right thereafter ordered pictures and got the same kind of pictures. 10 years later, some people have ordered the same serial numbers, and they find some alterations. So one can take that one way or the other.
Glenn, did your father believe that there were alien bases on the moon prior to our landings, or did that come afterwards?
Oh, he believed it prior, because we have had reports from astronomical societies. They're talking here, very interesting little report that comes out from the England's Royal Astronomical Society between the years of 1869 and 1871, where they collectively reported sightings of objects moving, 50-mile opaque objects, great white domes, long bridge-like structures, and so on and so forth. So there's enough credible information from astronomical observations prior to our space program that have led more than a number of people to suggest that there is activity on the moon.
And you, of course, believe we went to the moon, right?
Well, of course, absolutely. I believe that argument, I've heard the opposite side of that argument as well. And when you look at the pictures that have come back, obviously, first of all, we know we've gone under orbit around the Earth, and we know that we went with the lunar module and with the support craft to the moon and orbited, because we have taken such clear shots of Earthrise coming over the lunar surface. And also during the Apollo 11 and 12 programs with ground-based telescopes, you were able to focus on the Sea of Tranquility, and with enough magnification, you could see the LEM taking off and so on and so forth, and see the orbiter as well. So, you know, you have photographic evidence from both sides of the...
Well, and I share your thoughts. I believe we went to.
And I think that we do also our astronauts a great disservice, because these were gentlemen who faced, and ladies and gentlemen now, that face, immense odds, and at that time technology that was, let's face it, your laptop today has twice the computing power than all of the Apollo computers put together at that time. So, you know, these people risked life and limb, and they did an incredible service.
Not quite a Model T going to the moon, but pretty darn close, wasn't it?
Very close, if you think about it in comparison. You know, we still have a very fledgling space program that unfortunately lags many years behind our other technologies that could be put to good use.
How long, Glenn, and this is all speculation here on your part, but how long do you think these alien bases might have been on the moon?
Well, that is an open-ended question. I think that there have been a number of anthropologists and archaeologists have suggested that ancient civilizations have left some type of record of interactions with what we would call extraterrestrials. So, for all intents,
at least on this planet you're talking about.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're talking about people like Eric von Däniken, and there's many programs that were produced that question some of the advancements and some of the hieroglyphs and petroglyphs portraying, like for that one down in the Mayan area, of a person sitting in a capsule with fire coming out of the bottom, and so on and so forth. And so, literally, we could say that ancient records as far back as China, 4,000 years ago, have left reports of such sightings or interactions. So it's possible that the moon has been used as an observation platform for at least as long as that.
All right, stay with us, Glenn. Glenn Steckling, I guess we're going to really get into these alien bases and get his thoughts on exactly what might be there. And again, he believes that we are still going to the moon. We'll find out a little bit more about that, too. I'm Jordan. Yes, those of you fast blasting me later on in the program, we will open up the website and allow you to look at more pictures, and more importantly as well, phone numbers will be given, and you can chat with Glenn all you want. We're talking about his book, Alien Bases on the Moon, and also his father's book. He did the revision, called it Alien Bases on the Moon 2. Let's talk about some of these purported alien bases, if we can, Glenn, for a moment. Some of the pictures, I will admit, look very strange indeed. They're just objects there that make you want to look 2, 3, 4 times to figure out exactly what's going on there. There's a series that you have in the book. Mm-hmm. It looks like some kind of a tractor device that is leaving miles and miles of a very strange print that you would see from a tire, for example.
Well, yeah, there's also, if you look slightly north to that picture, there's also a very faint track of a much smaller device as well that's leading out in front of it by about 15 degrees.
Let's talk about some of the bases. What do you think is out there?
Well, I believe through observation and collection of data and networking, I believe that the moon is being used as an observation platform, and also from the photos, that it seems that there is some type of activity going there. The one picture that I provided for your website there of that small crater where it looks, you can see the material dumping out of the crater into the larger one as it obscures the crater lip. And other pictures that are in the book showing terracing of craters and things like that seems to show that some type of perhaps mining activity is going on the moon. And of course, there's a great deal of talk and speculation how much of it may be